question. When all that is good falls apart, what can good people do? When flood waters sweep across entire cities, leaving thousands stranded without food and shelter or gasoline, when our cities and states are shaken by multi-billion-dollar deficits, and when political divide seems unending, and the threat of chemical attacks in Russia, in Syria, and the rising tide of Russian and Chinese military buildup, what are we to do? When all that is good falls apart, what can good people do? Curiously, David doesn't answer his questions with an answer. He answers it with a declaration. He says that the Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord sits on his throne in heaven. Now, his point is unmistakable. God's unaltered by our storms. He's undeterred by our problems. He's unfrightened by those problems. He's in his holy temple. He's on his throne in heaven. He's still in control. Economies may rise and fall, but God will never fall. Amen. Falling dollars and rising oil prices have never discouraged him. God always has a way of turning tragedy into triumph. Look what he did for Joseph down in the land of his captivity, in his Egyptian prison. His brothers sold him down the river. Mrs. Potiphar accused him of rape. His master did not give him his day in court. If a world ever came in, it was Joseph's world. Look at Moses, watching his father-in-law's sheep on the backside of the wilderness. Is this what he had intended for his life? I don't think so. His heart bleeds Jewish blood. His passion is to lead Hebrew slaves. And so why does God have him leading sheep? And what about Daniel? He was among the brightest and the best young men of Israel. The equivalent of a West Point cadet or an Ivy Leaguer. But he and his entire generation are being marched out of Jerusalem. The temple is in ruin. The city is destroyed. Joseph in prison, Moses on the backside of the wilderness, and Daniel in chains. Who could have seen any good in them? Who could have known that Joseph in prison was just one promotion away from being Joseph the prime minister? Who would have known that Moses, the shepherd of sheep, was in 40 years of wilderness training in the very same wilderness that he would lead God's sheep through on the way to the promised land? And who could imagine that Daniel, the captive, would soon become Daniel, the king's counselor? Joseph in prison, Moses on the backside of the wilderness, Daniel the captive. God does things like that, and he does it even with his son in the pages of the New Testament. What we see played out on our televisions 24/7, we read in our newspapers or on the web or on the widescreen or our DVDs, is what the followers of Christ saw that day on the cross. Innocence slaughtered, goodness murdered, heaven's high tower of strength is pierced. Mothers wept, evil danced, and the disciples had to wonder what in the world is happening. When all that is good falls apart, what can good people do? God answers that with a declaration. With the rumble of the earth and the rolling of a stone, he reminded them that the Lord is in his holy temple and the Lord sits on his throne in heaven. And today we must remember that he still is. He's still in his temple. He's still in his throne. He's still in control. Amen.
Yes.
He still makes princes out of prisoners, counselors out of captives, and he still turns Sundays out of bad Fridays. What he did then, he will still do for us today. In a world we live in today, many are asking the question that's on all of our minds: who is our God? Think about that. Who is our God? And if he is God, where is God in all the suffering that we see played out all over the planet today? Can good come from evil?
Yes.
And prayer, is God really listening? And we ponder those questions together. I pray that God's peace and understanding will touch our hearts and bring us healing for our spirit man today. Now, many people today are wondering how God could allow evil and injustice and depravity and suffering and sickness and disease that we see in our world today. What could he be thinking? So is God really in control? And can we trust him who runs the universe if he would allow terrorists, drug lords, and gangbangers to take the lives of so many innocent people? It's important to realize, church, that God dwells in a different realm than we are. He occupies a totally different dimension than we do today. Isaiah said this in Isaiah 55, 8 and 9. The gospel writer of the Old Testament simply says that my thoughts are not like your thoughts, your ways are not like my ways. Just as the heavens are higher than the earth, and so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts. Now, take special note of the word like. Think about that. Ponder that. Meditate. Take special note of that four-letter word like. God's thoughts are not our thoughts. Not even like our thoughts. They're not even in the same neighborhood as ours. We're thinking preserve the body. He's thinking save the soul. We dream of a pay raise. He dreams of raising the dead. We avoid pain and seek peace. He uses pain to bring peace. I'm going to live before I die, we declare. Die so you can live, he instructs. We love what rusts. He loves what endures. We rejoice at our successes. He rejoices at our confessions. We show that the questions are not new, but maybe the answers are. Look what Paul said in Romans 8:31. He said, if God be for us, if God is for us, who can be against us? That's as good as it gets. If God is for us, who can be against us? I have to tell myself that about 3 times a day. And then finally I conclude, if God is for me, who can be against me? And even if they are, what difference does it make if God is for me?
Amen. Amen.
The question is not simply who can be against us. You can answer that one, every one of us. Who is against you? Is it disease, inflation, corruption, exhaustion, calamities confronted, or fears in prison? Were Paul's question, who can be against us, we can list our whole list of our enemies easier than we can fight them. But that is not the question that Paul presents to us today. The question is, if God is for us, who can be against us? For us. God is for us. Now, indulge me for a moment. Now, I want you to look at those 4 words in that verse that deserve our attention. I want you to read them slowly with me. Say, God is for us.
God is for us.
Now, read it out loud one more time, and I'll give your apologies to your neighbor at this time, but say it with me.
God is for us.
Now, we're going to repeat that phrase 4 times with emphasis on each word. Now, we're not in a hurry this morning. We already got lunch set for you, so we're going to take our time. God is for us. God is for us. God is for us.